Today I'd like to take you through a form of prayer, not quite thanksgiving. When everything is going well and you've really been blessed, it's not difficult to thank God. But more important is when things are falling apart, when you're hurt and almost feeling perhaps God has forgotten you. To appreciate that God is acting out of love. That's hard when things are not going exactly as you thought they should be. Gerard Manley Hopkins, a Jesuit poem, had this phrase, "Father and fondler of the heart you have wrung." God wrings our hearts dry. He doesn't send healing of everything and take away the pain. He wrote that poem, Gerard Manley Hopkins, about 100 years ago, just a bit more. A group of nuns, half a dozen nuns, were escaping from Germany, or rather they were expelled, and they came on a boat to England. And when they were nearing the mouth of the Thames, there was a terrible storm, and they were all drowned. It's a tragic thing. They're now buried in Leytonstone Cemetery. But he wrote that thing, Father and fondler, God fondling, stroking hearts that he's broken, hearts thou hast wrung. When it happens to us, like happening to a small child who doesn't understand, then you feel rejected. When I was 9 years old, or not quite 9, a week before my 9th birthday, I was sent away from home to live with people I'd never met. For that matter, my mother and father didn't know them. I couldn't even stay for my birthday. Was that cruel? They did it because they loved me. It was the beginning of the war, and we had to be evacuated for safety's sake. Imagine that couple giving up their children, breaking their heart because they love them. And the form of prayer I want to do is, I have a long letter here which was written by a Jewish woman just before the Second World War, when the Nazis were rounding up the Jews in Germany. And she discovered that the next day, that is the last roundup, as she calls it, and she's got to give up her child to go to safety, a 2-year-old child. So she wrote a letter to her little baby and sewed it in her petticoat, and years later it survived. And about 10 years ago, the daughter, the girl now grown up, translated it from Yiddish into English. Now, why I want to use it, it's a moving letter, but not for that. I'll read it, but then at the end I'll stay in silence, or you can, after this video has finished. Feel yourself in the hand of God, like that little girl being rocked by her mother, not understanding why she was being sent away, except her mother was telling her. Let God tell you, and have some minutes, 5 or 10 minutes after I finished, in silence, just feeling God holding you and rocking you with great love. First I read the letter. Dear Morelli, I can't believe I have one night to stuff a lifetime of love into this letter. Tomorrow morning, if 4 o'clock can be called morning, I'm giving you up. I'm taking you, Morelli, to the back entrance of dear, brave Herman's grocery, and the child rescuers will be waiting there for you and 32 other children under the age of 3. They will inject you with a sedative so you won't cry, and then they will slip you off in the pre-dawn. My life, my love, out of this barbaric country to safety. We kept putting it off, Morelli. We didn't want to believe we would have to give up our child, probably never to see her again. But this is the last child rescue. After this there will be none left to rescue, because tomorrow, our informers tell us, is the last big roundup. Tomorrow they come for men, women and children, and I've been convinced by these words spoken by our trusted informer Herman, the brave Gentile doctor. Any child they take away either dies immediately or dies on the way to the death camp. What a sentence! The word death 3 times in one sentence. We were the last ones to be convinced to give up our child. He said finally, with the deepest sadness in every exhausted wrinkle in his face, "I can't force you, but if you keep her with you, she will be dead in a month. They have no use for babies. She cannot work for them. If you want to give her up to us, bring her to the back entrance of my grocery at 4 o'clock. No belongings, no whatever food you have. Goodbye." Morelli, do you see why I have to give you up? He said no belongings, but I will beg, I will plead that this letter be allowed to go sewn into your undershirt, and then I will pray to God that the letter stays with you until you are old enough to read it. You must know that we love you. You must know why you are alone without parents, not because they didn't love you, but because they did. It is eerie to think that by the time you read this, I will be dead. That's what Herman says is going on. People either die immediately or on the way, or after a week or 2 of forced labour with no food. But I won't have lived in vain, Morelli, if I know that I brought you into the world and you will live and survive and grow big and strong, and you will be happy. You can be happy, Morelli, because we loved you. What makes a difference in the lives of adults, it seems, is as if they had a secure childhood, secure with lots of love and acceptance and needs fulfilled and predictable routine and the like. You've had this up to this minute. You will have it until 4 o'clock. But then you won't. Who knows who will end up taking care of you? Some family who will take you in for the money that Herman will pay them? They will surely be kinder to their own than to you. Here is where the pain mixes with rage. I rage at these animals who are making it possible for you to cry, and I won't be there to comfort you. But you will have this letter, and this letter will make you feel secure if God answers my prayers. You have us, Morelli. Even though you don't see us, we are with you. We're watching you and praying for you. And every time you have troubles, we are pounding on the door of God's very throne room, insisting on an audience and demanding mercy for our Morelli down on earth, alone without her parents. And God will listen to us. We won't leave him alone until he agrees that you deserve health and love and happiness. Morelli, you will wonder what your first 2 years were like. You'll wish you could remember. Let me remember for you right now, tenderly, on this piece of paper. You like hot cereal in the morning with lots of milk and sugar. Except there is no milk and sugar now, not in the whole city. But I will make your cereal anyway, and you eat it with big smiles between every bite. Then you come ready for your nap. So I rock you after putting the rocker where the sunlight will fall on it. I rock you until you fall asleep, and then I put you in my bed. You sleep well there. You like my smell. What will you smell tomorrow night? Surely nobody will rock you tomorrow, not even in the shade. Oh God, I can't do this, but I will do it. For you, Morelli, so you will have at least a hope for life. Morelli, do me a favour. After you've grown up, after this dirty, nightmarish war is over, I know there will be those who underplay the tragedies going on here every day. They'll say, a war is a war, it's just a war. Morelli, tell them about this agony. Tell them how you felt secure in my arms, rocking to sleep in the sunlight. Tell them how your father ran one night a year ago to get you medicine, past sentries breaking the curfew. He risked his life to ease your pain, Morelli. And now the three of us are being torn apart. Just a war? Tell them, Morelli, that all wars in the world don't add up to the agony in my heart right now as I write this. Oh God, it's 2 o'clock already. Only 2 more hours with my love, my baby, my life, my Morelli. I'm going to hold you now, Morelli, for 2 hours. Your father and I are going to wake you, feed you, and tell you over and over again how much we love you. You're barely 2 years old, but maybe, if God is good, maybe you'll remember it. And maybe you'll keep this letter until you're old enough to read it. There will be bad times, Morelli, I know. But just think about me holding you, rocking you to sleep in the sunlight. Keep that sunlight in your heart always. I love you. Your father loves you. May God help us all. Mummy. Just quietly now stop and feel God holding you, rocking you in his arms, even when you don't understand.